Okay, we have a question, comment here. Speak up so others can hear
It's
you.
a combination question / comment. Because I
Elaine
heard,
is an assistant plumber.
yeah, I was
She's
a
a master
construction
plumber.
plumber for more than 10 years, and I testified in the human rights hearings, and I went on to get my master plumber's license in the city of New York, and I have my own business for the last 10 years. I started in 1986 or 85. I stood on a line for 10 hours. I didn't camp out like these ladies did, and I came in a little bit later, but it's interesting to me because I heard a lot of, well, we didn't get recognition for all these incredible things we were doing. And, I felt that way too, and there were times when I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna quit. But, there's something, to me, so here comes my 2 cents. There's something like, to me, there's something that's so incredible about doing this stuff, and I think that it just dawned on me. It was like a little light bulb went on. Speaking of electrical stuff, oh, well, I never. When I was a kid, I never thought, oh, gee, I want to be a plumber. Never, ever. When I got older and I was just working crappy jobs, even though I had a college education, I thought, oh, I want a job that makes a lot of money, okay, or that has the potential for that. But I didn't have, and it sounds like what I heard all this stuff is we didn't have anybody out there saying, oh, this is so exciting, you should come and do this. Or while we were doing it, we didn't have people say, well, we had to make our own group that fed back to each other, like all the women up there said. But we really didn't have the outside world acknowledging us or telling, and today even the outside world and us, we're not telling other young women, young people, but young women in particular, oh, this is so cool to do. You have no idea how cool this is to go up there and hang out in the ceiling or, cut into a big pipe. Or I used to walk around the city and think, oh, I worked in that building, I worked in that building, that's so cool. Or, being up on top of an open skyscraper, and it's really phenomenal. But, there is something that happens with the all that crap that goes on that kind of overshadows all that cool stuff. It's like a battle going. For me, I perceived it as a constant struggle with my internal little kid that said, oh, this is so cool. And the feedback that I was mostly getting, I had to find ways to feed back to myself, to the little kid that was saying, oh, this is so cool. And when you're a little kid, you're playing with other little kids, and you're having a good time, you're just having a good time, it's great. But as a grown-up doing something that you really like to do, but having other grown-ups around you giving you such negative feedback, that's really tough. And then to do that day after day, then you think, what the hell am I doing this for? So you constantly have to have something to keep making it better for yourself or something else to strive for.
James, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just want to follow what Elaine said, because I think one of the things that, by the way, Elaine is one of the people in the book that I wrote, Sisters in the Brotherhoods, and I have a lot of the women up here, electricians, but I also have many different trades, many different blue-collar jobs like firefighters and lots of different blue-collar jobs to show the diversity. And one of the things that I really tried to do, in fact, I was on a panel with really prestigious historians out in Chicago, and one of the women stood up and said, you write so much about women and the love that they have of the job, and explaining why they did what they did and how they loved what they did and how they loved their craft. And, she said it sounds like overkill almost, but, knowing that male skilled workers love to talk about their trade and their craft and their skill, and they love to point out, I worked in that building, I worked in that building. I wanted to give this women the same thing. But on the larger note, I think it's really important. I've been for 2 years all over this country in building trades halls and women's groups and colleges and universities. And the whole point of this is to expand the envelope and let people know about the subject and to let young women know that there is a larger horizon, that we still, have like 80 or more % of women in traditional female jobs, and that, we can have larger horizons. And so very much it's an effort to say what's great about it as well as what's been difficult.
Well, who's organizing this effort, Jane?
Me.
I wanted to respond to what you said as well, Elaine. And I agree with you. In the We'll Call You If We Need You book, there's one chapter that's just called Passions, and it's just all those different things people, I think are so eloquent about how they love the job. And let me just say something for myself is I worked on the Westin Hotel in Boston when it was a hole in the ground, and then back and forth, and to when it was doing the final finish, and that's where I was pregnant with my daughter on that job. She later had her junior prom at the Westin Hotel. There's just something so cool about that, for both of us. But I think in terms of like finding that balance, I think what I'd like to see more of is truth in advertising, so that we don't say the great stuff is you make this much per hour, and that means you're going to make this much per year, and that means you're going to make this much every year, and you're going to retire with this pension. We need to get the facts of that and say, yes, you make this much per hour, but we notice that women are working this many hours per year, or getting in this many years for their pension, or really across the board, this many people come into an apprenticeship, but really that's like a cheap labor pool, and only this percentage of them, male, female, everything, are expected to really have careers. So that we need to get to that and say, so that people have, they may still feel, I love this work, I'm going to do that, it's going to be a hard road, I'm going to have to strategize so that I'm in that percentage, or, get these extra skills. But I think there's a naive message that's given sometimes about, particularly around the money and benefits, and they're just not realistic. And that I think it's wrong, to tell people to go through a 5-year apprenticeship that with the belief that something's on the other end, if that's only a 50% chance, or 20% chance, or 80%, whatever it is. So I think that we need to, I think both say the harsh things and the delightful things, but also say what's the what's the facts that are true.
And we have time for one more, and you raised your hand. Was that you?
Just briefly, I along with Elaine and Melinda and Cynthia, and certainly some other women, have been doing these career day kind of events that...
Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Veronica Session. I'm in Carpenter. I've lived from 926 for 21 years. Wow. And one of the things I had been doing for a long time, for probably at least 18 years now, have been speaking to high schools, sometimes colleges, or middle schools, in reference to being a tradesperson. And I do that because I know it's, as I think everyone mentioned here, really, we love the work. Is this the other thing that we have to put up with is, it's the drawback, but we love the work and the salary and benefits that go along with it. As any male would, actually, so we don't differ in that. So the point is, I've been having more of a challenge and wondering how do I present this information to them, because I want to have a balance of fairness, of truth, without scaring them away, because the truth is kind of scary in this instance, So, so that's the challenge. But again, I have been doing it for at least 18 years, and I continue to do it because I believe it should be opened up to more than, I believe, the percentage is 2.5. Well, maybe 2 amongst electricians. My understanding, Francois may know. But it's no more than the 3.5, which is measly enough.
And Francine?
Can
you give us a closing comment?
Yeah, I just want
to say one
yeah.
thing.
Okay, just one thing.
This woman is Evan Ruderman. She was one of the toughest women I ever met in my life, and she's no longer with us. Her parents are here, and her sister's here to support us, and I want to say I really appreciate that.
Evan was one of the major inspirations for Livewire. There are laws that can help you to get in and to stay in. It shouldn't be that you have to struggle in this way. Women have struggled for 30 years to create those laws, and legislators have legislated them. And now what we need is enforcement. When we had the EEOC on top of the industry and contractors enforcing the laws in the 60s, they were enforced. Now that they've weakened, women are having a terrible time getting it. So I just wanted on the note also of, the positive of how women feel about this work, and especially electrical work. There's a woman electrician that I interviewed for the book, and she said, the green neon lights we use on St. Patrick's Day or other holidays to honor the Irish, the Italians, and the different ethnics. I daydream about setting aside one day to honor tradeswomen electricians who tolerate harassment and risk their lives to earn a living and clear a path of all women. Pink neon is my choice. Pink neon, right on top of the Empire State Building. Okay.